Hello, welcome back. My name is Zach, and today I'm going to be telling you about the general daily schedule of a fire crew corps member. I will also be going into detail about the Magalia Center and the Fortuna Center specifically because I was at both of those centers. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments and I will make a video just like this one, just responding to all of them. So, number one, what time do you wake up? And in Magalia, breakfast is at 6, and in Fortuna, breakfast is at 7. All of this is from memory, and it's been a little bit of time since I've been in the seas. It's been about a year and a half since I've been in Magalia, and then about a year since I've been at Fortuna. So if the times are a little off, I apologize, but this is the general schedule. So a big difference between Magalia and Fortuna in the mornings is Magalia, you wake up, you eat breakfast first, and then after that you have a pretty big window of time to do your daily chores that you have to do. Get yourself ready and then go line up for work. Fortuna, you do your chores right when you wake up. After your chores, then you go to breakfast, and then you have a shorter window of time to get yourself ready for work. For meal times, the kitchen crew in Magalia, you get 30 minutes, that's it. Once your 30 minutes is up, they make everybody leave the kitchen area, the cafeteria area. In Fortuna, it's a little different. Generally, they allow people to stay a little bit longer, but they do appreciate it when you leave, like within 30 to 45 minutes, because they have to clean up all the rest of the food, the tables and all that. It's a little bit different at each center. So in Magalia, each crew has a set table that they eat at every mealtime. You eat with your crew, and you clean the table once you're done, and you all leave together. And then Fortuna, usually the corps members don't clean the tables themselves. It's the kitchen crew corps members that will come around afterwards and clean the tables. And then for dinner time, it's either 5 or 6 depending on which center you're at. Like I mentioned previously, Magalia, you sit at a specific table with your crew. For Fortuna, you can sit wherever you want with whoever you want. It's more, it's completely free seating. So that was one thing that I didn't know. I showed up to the cafeteria at Magalia. I didn't know anything. I just sat at a table, and then in comes this fire crew and they're all sitting at this table with me. I'm like, okay. And then somebody tells me, he's like, oh, just so you know, each crew has a table, you're fine to sit here with us still, but next time, Comet sits over there, crew 1, crew 2, crew 4, crew 3, they each have their area, and then staff kind of even has their own table. It's very, regimented. For the chores, they're pretty simple. Usually you're either taking out trash, sweeping, mopping, maybe cleaning windows, cleaning the bathroom. That's probably the least fun one. Cleaning the toilets. They're all very simple tasks. While you're in Comet, you will be working 5 days a week, at least at Magalia. I can't say what they do in Fortuna because I wasn't in Comet at Fortuna. In Magalia, you'll be doing 5 days a week compared to everybody else who's on crew. They do 4 days, 10-hour days. And then for Comet, you're going to be in the classroom most of the time. You'll be doing a little bit of hands-on training. They'll walk you around, show you some stuff. Comet is a lot of PowerPoints, and there will be a quiz at the end. I think it was 25 questions or something. It's been a minute. And for Magalia, you do kind of a week to 2 weeks of Comet, and then 2 weeks of fire training, maybe sometimes a week to 2 weeks. It's really just can flex. Once you show up in Magalia, you do all of that, all at once, back to back. So it kind of blends in my head. I don't completely remember what was separate, what was Comet and what was fire training, because it's just a lot of learning, a lot of PowerPoints, a lot of tests, and none of them are crazy difficult, but you do have to study, you have to pay attention, because if you don't get it right, you don't pass, then you can't get on fire crew, and that's no fun. Usually within the first couple of days of Comet, once you're at the seas, you will get your full uniform, you'll get the tan, you will come with your white t-shirts, and then the pants, the boots, the rain gear, all of it. For fire crew specifically, you'll get that later on once you are past at least the majority of all the fire, wildland fire tests. And I mean, you'll get the fire gear specifically later on. You'll still get all the regular corps member attire, but fire gear like fire pack, the Nomex top, Nomex pants actually, and all the other little things they give you in your pack. You'll get those things later on. It's super nice. They provide like everything. Once you're on fire crew, then you'll get the actual fire crew t-shirt. Usually you don't get your blue hat right away. They wait until like the end of Comet to get that. Sometimes like they'll make you do something for it, like a hike or whatever. Other times, you know, finishing Comet and fire training, that's when you get your hat. In Magalia, in Comet, you will be doing PT. Fortuna, I don't think you do. It's different there because they have multiple different types of crews. They just have one fire crew in Fortuna, and then they have a couple different grade crews that sometimes do other things like watering crew or salmon restoration. They have the kitchen crew, and really PT varies for each Comet because there's multiple throughout the year. For mine, they started off pretty strong, but then there was 3 people actually that ended up having to go to the hospital for medical issues. It's not that the PT itself was that crazy, but I think the issue was they weren't drinking enough water. So they got rhabdo, all of them, all 3 of them. And that's very unheard of. That doesn't happen, so don't get scared. But make sure you're drinking water, but don't drink too much water, because I think it was either one of them. They were drinking either not enough or too much. It was something. So yeah, properly hydrate, get your electrolytes and your water. Make sure you work out beforehand so you know like your body can take a beating. So at least what they were doing in the beginning was PT in the morning at 5 was before breakfast. And we do PT right here at 5 in the morning, every morning. And then also PT either before or after dinner, so it was twice a day. But once those Corps members had to go to the hospital, they stopped PT because they didn't want anybody else having any medical issues. So we had to self-PT. Normally somebody from fire crew, like 2 or 3 people, will work out with us, like take us through a workout, do lunges to the gas house, you know, do whatever that card one is. Each thing like stands for something. So like let's say you pull a 3 of clubs and you say clubs is push-ups or something, then you do 3 push-ups. Once you're done with Comet though, you will still be doing PT, but you're not going to be doing it like before breakfast or before or after dinner. It's just going to be part of your work day, and usually you're just going to be hiking for fire crew. For Fortuna as well, they don't hike as much. It's pretty rainy in Fortuna, so it can make it difficult. But there's other things they do. They do a lot of circuit workouts. The circuit workouts can be fun because you go into the NPR, which is the multi-purpose room. It's just this big room with a bunch of chairs and tables where they have like community meeting and all that, and I can get into that another time. But you go into this room with your crew, you get to play music, and usually they'll write workouts on the whiteboard, and like every 30 seconds or whatever, you'll switch to a new workout, and you just do that however many times you have with however much time that we had. So with all of that said, the one thing I would recommend is just focus on cardio, whether that's running, hiking, HIIT workouts, whatever. Cardio, because that's gonna be your main thing for fire crew. You're going to be hiking with weight and swinging a tool, possibly for hours and hours and hours. You gotta make sure you are fit cardiovascularly. So I talked about generally the Comet schedule, 5 days a week, 8-hour days, a lot of classroom time, a little bit of PT. Once you're on crew, it'll be 4 days a week, 10-hour days, and you'll start the day, you know, the same breakfast, chores, get yourself ready, checking out the bus, making sure everything is good on there, making sure you all got water, you got your tools, like making sure everything is just dialed in, you have your packs in there, you have all your snacks, whatever it is that you need for the day, might possibly need if you get called out to a fire. You gotta make sure it's all there, it's all ready to go. During breakfast time is actually when you will prepare your lunch for the day as well. So you'll get in there, you know, get your breakfast plate, and then usually they have like a sandwich bar out, and you're gonna be surviving on sandwiches for lunch. They don't have anything else. They have some snacks, like chips and whatnot, gummies, but you will be eating a sandwich unless you go buy food somewhere else and bring that every day. It gets a little pricey. You're gonna be surviving on sandwiches. So after you do the buggy checkout, there's multiple different names for the crew bus, the buggy, the ETC. Like there's a lot of different names. It's actually ECT, Emergency Crew Transport. A lot of different names for the big red vehicle, whatever you call it. After you make sure that's all good to go, really depends, again, what center you're at. In Magalia, every day we had project work, and project work is usually fuel reduction. So we'll go out and the saw teams will chop down little trees, bushes, whatever, lop them up into piles, and then everybody else is going around grabbing all the pieces, putting it into a pile, and then another day we'll come back and burn those piles. Other times we're lopping and scattering, like leaving everything there, but like spreading it out so it'll decay faster. But in Fortuna, we didn't always have project work. We would do similar things like fuel reduction, lopping and scattering. We would do a lot of chipping. If we weren't going out to project, we would stay on center and do a lot of training. That's actually how I got a lot of my certificates, was at Fortuna. I got some of them in Magalia, but we had so much training time in Fortuna, it was great. I got my hazmat, my Firefighter 1D, my PSFA, an updated CPR AED by CAL FIRE specifically. After your project work or grade work, whatever you call it, you'll come back to center and you'll pretty much do the same thing you did in the morning, is make sure that the buggy is good to go. Your tools sharpened, cleaned, water is restocked, everything is on the bus. The bus is cleaned itself. You'll sweep it, mop it, wipe down the seats, clean the windows, clean the windshield, the whole shebang. And once everybody is done with their specific chore, which you'll be assigned a specific chore, then you all can go leave. And depending on what time it is, you either go straight to dinner, or maybe if you have a little bit of time, you can go to your room, change your clothes, and then go to dinner. In Magalia, they clean the crew bus on your last day of work every week. In Fortuna, really depends. There's no set amount of time when it gets cleaned, and I mean like a deep clean of the whole outside and inside, like everything. But you will be cleaning it on a basic level every single day. And if you're short like me, small like me, you might even get lucky and you'll have to go into the buggy, climb through on like the emergency hatch, and get on top and clean the top of the buggy. It's pretty fun. And being on fire crew, at any point in your day, you can get called out to a fire. If that happens, you just stop what you're doing. You have to clean up a little bit, like you gotta get all your gear back onto the bus and possibly hike out from wherever you're working to get back to the bus, get on, and then just go. So you gotta make sure you have everything with you. You'll get a bag, they call it an out-of-county bag, that you'll put all your stuff in, like all your extra clothing and medications or toothbrush or whatever, like charger, anything that you're gonna need if you go out to work for the day and then you don't get to go back to the center before you go drive 3 hours away to a fire that you're at for 2 weeks. You can be gone up to 3 weeks. Generally it's 21 days is where they cap it out at, and then you'll have mandatory 48 hours off, like 48-hour down, and then you could get sent right back out. So you gotta be prepared for that. Fire season 2024 was my first season. It was very busy. We got called out a lot. We were gone. I think we did 3 different times of where we were out for 21 days straight, and 2 of those times it was back to back. We got 21 days, and then we actually technically only got 1 day off and then went back out for another 21. It was some logistics, and we technically didn't work 24 hours every single day of the 21 days straight. Like a couple of the days we did a 12-hour shift, and that, I don't know, logistics, it messes with it, and we weren't required to get the 48 down, so we only got 24 down. But yeah, you just gotta be ready for anything and everything. If I missed anything with the daily schedule, just let me know, leave it in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Next, I wanna talk about the living situation. Like, what does it look like on center? What are the things that they have for you? What do they provide? Living situation, Magalia versus Fortuna, big difference. Magalia, the majority of people will be staying in this big, long building. and it's just bunk beds. There's a little bit of like walls, but they don't go all the way up to the ceiling. They're probably like maybe 6 feet tall, maybe a little shorter. And yeah, you're pretty much just living in one big long hallway with a bunch of other dudes. They're called upper dorms. I think there's 4 buildings that are like, they're like 100 feet away from that long building. The jungle is what the core members call it. And those ones, the upper dorms, are for either women or people who have been there for a while, so they have seniority. Usually your C1 and your captains will choose who gets to go up there. In Fortuna, everybody shares a room with 3 other people. Unless you're a red hat, then you share a room with just 1 other person, but you have a smaller room. It is nice to have a little bit more privacy. Like at Fortuna, you have one big room, but then there's like a wall that goes halfway across the bedroom. So it's kind of separated in like 2 people on this side, 2 people on that side, and you have much more space for your stuff in Fortuna. In Magalia, inside of the long building with the dorms is the bathroom and showers as well, so you don't have to go outside to go to the bathroom, which is nice. But I think there's about 5 or 6 stalls, then there's 6 sinks, and then next to that, it's like all in the same like room kind of. But yeah, behind the sinks is the showers, and there's 6 showers. Not all of them are always working, and there's like a little changing area, but there's no like partitions or anything. So if you do get changed in the changing area, it's completely open. Anybody in the bathroom can see you. Usually what I would do was get partially undressed and then, go into the shower stall, which there's curtains and there's walls, and, then get completely undressed there. For Fortuna, the bathrooms, there was multiple bathrooms, not just one. And they were in their own rooms though. So you'd have to leave your room and go walk to the bathroom, just like at a mall or a store or something. And there's usually multiple stalls of toilets and showers in each of the bathrooms, which is nice. There's a lot more showers for everybody. Both centers have a gym. The one in Fortuna, I will say, it is pretty small. It has a fair amount of stuff, but like I said, it's small. And you have to have a buddy to go in there with you, and you have to go to the staff. I think you give them your ID to be able to go into the room, and then once you're done, go back to staff to get your ID back. For Magalia, it's much bigger. It's not huge, but it's really decent size. They have a pretty good gym there, a lot of equipment, and you don't need permission to go in there, and you don't need a friend. You can just go in there at any point. I think they usually do lock it overnight though, but any other time between like, I think maybe 11 at night and like 5 in the morning, between that time you can't go, but any other time you're free to go in there and work out. Magalia has a dirt, more like gravel track that you can run around. It's maybe like 3/4 of a mile long, and there's also a bunch of trails around too. There's Blue Trail, and then there's Paradise Lake Trail, which I talked about in another video. And then Fortuna, there's no trails like specifically around the center because it's in town, but there's one very close. It's like across the street a little bit, and it goes along the river. And then there's also a park nearby that has a lot more trails that you can go to. Both centers do have a fire pit, which is pretty cool. They both get used pretty often. It's a fun hangout spot. And Fortuna also has a gazebo, which is like the smoking area generally, but you can hang out there. Some people do. Each CCC center has a room called a rec room, like a recreation room, and it's different for each center. I've been to a couple different ones, a couple different centers, because of fires, and also because I was at Magalia and Fortuna. But Magalia, when I was there, the rec room was shut down. I think it was because there was rats or something, like chewing on wires. I don't know. So that was under construction. I don't know if it's dealt with now. But a popular hangout spot in Magalia, like indoors, was actually the office, the front office. There's Wi-Fi in there, there's couches, and Boots, the center cat. So people would go in there and hang out, or just hang out in the dorms, because just one big room, so everybody's already all in there. And for Fortuna, either the fire pit, there was the NPR, which was kind of a quiet area though. It's like a library type study area. Their rec room was actually pretty cool. There's a TV, you can play video games, there's a couch, there's a pool table, there's music equipment, there's, what is that? Foosball or something. There's even ping pong. There's a lot of things to do. One last thing. So in Fortuna, there's actually a communal fridge slash freezer, which is great. If you have like leftovers or whatever, any type of personal food, you go put it in the fridge, make sure you put your name on it, write the date. Sometimes things get thrown out by the kitchen crew if you haven't used it in a long time, but other than that, it's great to have that option. Sadly, Magalia does not have that option. They do not allow mini fridges. There's no communal fridge. So you're surviving on what they give you, or unrefrigerated food that you have bought. All right, I think that covers it all. Again, if I missed anything, please leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.